The gods. Demeter. In ancient Greek mythology, Demeter is the goddess of grain and agriculture, one of the original 12 Olympians. Her grief over her daughter Persephone, who has to spend 1/3 of the year with her husband Hades in the underworld, is the reason why there is winter, and her joy when she gets her back coincides with the fertile spring and summer months. Demeter and Persephone were the central figures of the Eleusinian Mysteries, the most famous secret religious festivals in ancient Greece. Demeter's name consists of two parts, the second of which, Meter, is almost invariably linked with the meaning mother, which conveniently fits with Demeter's role as a mother goddess. However, there are still debates over the meaning of the first part, D, which most scholars associate with Gaea, making Demeter Mother Earth. Others, however, prefer to link it with Deo, which is a surviving epithet of Demeter and may have been in an earlier form, the name of one of few grains. Demeter is usually portrayed as a fully clothed and matronly-looking woman, either enthroned and regally seated or proudly standing with an extended hand. Sometimes she is depicted riding a chariot containing her daughter Persephone, who is almost always in her vicinity. The goddesses, as they were endearingly called, even shared the same attributes and symbols: the scepter, cornucopia, ears of corn, a sheaf of wheat, torch, and occasionally a crown of flowers. Demeter was known mostly as the giver of food and grain, or she of the grain, for short. Ceto, however, since she presided over something as vital as the cycles of plants and seasons, the ancient Greeks also referred to her as Tesmophoros, or the bringer of laws, and organized a women-only festival called Tesmophoria to celebrate her as such. Other epithets include green, the giver of gifts, the bearer of food, and great mother. Demeter was one of the 6 children of Cronus and Rhea, their middle daughter, and their second child overall, born after Hestia, but before Hera and her brothers, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. Just like all of her siblings, she was swallowed at birth and later, following an intervention by Zeus, was regurgitated by her father unharmed. Demeter didn't have many partners and was rarely portrayed with a male consort. The mortal Iasion and her brothers Poseidon and Zeus are the most noteworthy, if not the only exceptions. Early in her life, she fell in love with a mortal named Iasion. She seduced him at the marriage of Cadmus and Harmonia and lay with him in a thrice-plowed field. Zeus didn't think it appropriate for such a respected goddess to have a relationship with a mortal, so he struck Iasion with a thunderbolt. But by then, Demeter was already pregnant with twins, Plautos and Philomelos, the former the god of wealth, and the latter the patron of plowing. Next, Demeter's brother Poseidon transformed into a stallion and forced himself upon her, and the goddess, once again, became pregnant with 2 children, Despina, a nymph, and Arion, a talking horse. Finally, Demeter became Zeus' 4th wife. From their union, Demeter's most well-known child was born, Persephone. The most important myth involving Demeter concerns her daughter Persephone's abduction by Hades and Demeter's subsequent wanderings. Hades, the lord of the underworld, fell in love with Demeter's virgin daughter and decided to take her into marriage. So one day, as she gathered flowers with her maidens, he lured her aside using a fragrant and inexpressibly beautiful narcissus flower, and then snatched her up with his chariot, suddenly darting out of a chasm under her feet. Inconsolable, Demeter walked the earth, far and wide, for 9 days to find her daughter, but to no avail. And then, on the 10th day, Hecate told her what she had seen, and Helios, the all-seeing god of the sun, confirmed the story. Demeter wasn't just heartbroken anymore. She was now angry as well, and with everybody, especially with Zeus, who had approved the whole plan and even aided Hades, after receiving a brand new and bigger thunderbolt weapon directly from the god of the underworld. So Demeter left Mount Olympus and went to grieve her daughter among the mortals. Disguised as an old woman, she ended up at the court of King Chelius of Eleusis, where his wife, Metanira, hired her to be the nurse to her baby son, Demeter. And Iambe, the old servant woman of the house, cheered her with jokes, and Demeter laughed for the first time in weeks. In gratitude for the kindness, Demeter devised a plan to make Demeter immortal, so she started bathing him in fire each night, thus burning away his mortality. However, one day, Metanira witnessed the ritual and, not realizing what was happening, started screaming in panic and alarm. This disturbed Demeter's strategy, so she revealed herself at once and told Metanira that the only way that the Eleusinians will ever win her kindness back is by building a beautiful temple and establishing a festival in her glory. King Chelius did just that, and Demeter spent the whole year living in her newly built temple, grieving, and in her grief, neglecting all of her duties as a goddess of fertility and agriculture. As a consequence, the earth turned barren, and people started dying out of hunger. After being alerted to the problems on the earth by all the mortals' prayers, Zeus unsuccessfully sent all the gods one by one to Demeter with gifts and pleas, and realized that he would have to bring Persephone back to her mother if he didn't want to see humanity wiped out from the planet. So he sent Hermes to Hades, and the divine messenger fetched back Persephone to her mother. However, the gods soon realized that Demeter's daughter had already eaten one seed of pomegranate in the underworld, which obliged her to remain there. Having been tricked into eating the seed by a boy that Demeter had previously turned into a lizard, and was killed by an eagle and subsequently ended up in the underworld with Persephone. Knowing that Demeter wouldn't allow such a thing to happen, Zeus proposed a compromise. Persephone would spend 1/3 of the year with Hades and the other 2/3 with Demeter. The former, the period during which Demeter is grieving, corresponds to the winter months of the year, when the earth is infertile and bare. The latter, when she rejoices, overlaps the abundant months of our springs and summers. The myth likewise explains the growth cycle of the plants. The grain, just like Persephone, must die and be buried under the earth, in order to bear much fruit above it. Demeter's Roman equivalent was called Ceres, which is where we get the word cereal. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, and hit that notification bell for upcoming videos.